Sandy, so let's jump into our exercise of the Johari window. We
Okay.
said that you're going to have a look at some of the adjectives, and you're going to give that out to your peers as well.
Yes.
So if I can ask you, which ones of these have you selected that described yourself best?
Convincing,
Yeah.
demanding, humorous, inspirational, and reliable.
And if I have to ask you, was it quite easy, or did you find it difficult to select those ones that described you most?
No, definitely it was not easy because I think we tend to gravitate towards the negative. That's what I've at least found about myself, is that I looked at them and it was difficult I found it tougher to actually identify the more positives than the negative, and I thought that was a strange thing about me.
Yeah.
But I mean, once I did identify, I thought that probably are the ones that best describe me the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I then have a look at the list that you've collated from the feedback from your peers, what did they say? Was there any surprises then? If you don't mind, can we have a look at that?
Definitely. I mean, I saw autocratic.
Autocratic, yeah.
I saw domineering.
Wow.
Proud, serious, and stubborn.
Sure.
Yeah.
And how did you feel about that?
I was actually ticked off, to say the least. I was a bit ticked off because I then also had to pull myself towards myself where I realized that feedback, is good. I can't just, take it and put it under the carpet. I must see if there's some truth in the feedback that I received. So I then had to ask myself, what is it? How do I show up that they would then describe me this way? And so that was quite interesting.
And was there any one of those that you've mentioned now that came over more than once, that was ticked by more than one employee?
I think the domineering was ticked more than once. But to be honest, I understood where it's coming from. I'm in a very, the environment I'm in is very much male-centric. And you need to almost always know your place. Listen, I don't dance unless I hear music. And so I simply don't get intimidated. And I feel like that's what they expect, that I get intimidated and I must know your lane. So I know my work, I do my part. But if you come out stronger or trying to get your voice heard, then definitely I'll be seen as more domineering, whereas that's not the intention. However, maybe I can definitely work on my approach better, but I find that I continuously have to exert myself in that environment.
So that's actually amazing insight, as you say, to in this male-dominating world, to actually be mindful of how you show up as the female in that environment.
Yes, and I think that is also a bit unfair because you're expected to be in a certain way, and then if you come out stronger, you're trying to be a male. If you come out a bit more humble, and then you're the right female. So I think it's that balancing act that really I'm struggling with. I don't even know if should I be trying to balance it. I'm just struggling with that, and I think particularly the senior leaders, like I'm saying, it's like you're expected to be timid and just roll over and do what I'm saying, and when you're not, then obviously these things then come out.
So if you have a look at those relationships and we have a look at moving forward in perhaps, not that I'm saying they're not strong, but if that's the type of words that they use to describe you, do you think there would be value in having a conversation with them, or is it for you more reflection from your side and thinking of how you're showing up?
I think I have to do work for myself first before I can engage them, because I'm not sure if they would necessarily know exactly what they want me to, how do they want me to approach them, or I think I need to go back and see in a various situation or scenarios, how do I then handle it? I think I tend to get angry quickly and just expect you also to see things my way, instead of standing back and saying, all right, do I understand where you're coming from before I enforce. Like, I mean, I've said I'm convincing, but maybe they wouldn't say that about me. I mean, certainly that didn't come out. And maybe just
And if we have a look, you've mentioned a scenario now where you said you became angry.
Yeah.
So if we can take that one as an example, and you think, how would you handle that going differently going forward? Anything that comes to mind that will actually help you or support you to stand your ground, yet in a let's call it aggressive way?
Yeah. I think definitely is one thing, just to firstly keep quiet and just rather ask questions.
That's a good.
I think maybe rather ask questions that aim to that show that I want to understand why you seeing it that way, why you stating that, whatever that they've just said. So instead of just being quick to respond, maybe rather ask a question, a clarifying question, to say, okay, may I just understand why that instead of this, or how do you see it? So maybe that will come across less domineering. I don't know. Yeah.
So is that something that you choose to just explore a little bit and see?
But I think I need to be conscious. I need to make sure it's conscious, it's deliberate. It's in my every engagement. It seems a bit exhausting, but I think I need to maybe. And then I would be intrigued. It would be intriguing to see if I had to do this exercise again 6 months down the line, if I would get a different
if there's any
result.
difference. So what I would like to explore a little bit, if you have a look at the team, you've mentioned the senior leadership team. Is there anyone in particular that you find it challenging to build a strong relationship with, or is it much of a muchness with?
I really struggle with Bill. As I've said to you in our previous conversations, he's very traditional in his leadership approach. Very much around, the leader says you do, does actually come across as a micromanager as well. So I find that there's no trust between us. That is the relationship I'm struggling with the most. And I mean, I even was trying to see if any of these he wrote. If I had to probably guess, probably stubborn came out quite a bit, because we constantly at loggerheads. So I think that is the relationship already.
And if you then go back to what you've mentioned about asking questions, do you think that would be sufficient with the two of you, or is there a different way that you need to approach Bill in order to build that relationship?
I think definitely I need to employ a different strategy with him, because asking questions comes across as you challenging him. So I don't think that will work. I think it will make things a bit worse, or coming across as a miss-know-it-all. I would need a different strategy, but really I'm open to any situations, because I don't know where to go from here.
You know what worked for me? I remember when I was in a role and I really struggled with one specific head of department. And what worked for me in that scenario is to, with every interaction, be very mindful of what's my intention for our long-term relationship. Because when I actually focus on what my behavior is telling him, I could immediately see a difference in the way that I approach things. So if I can perhaps go a little bit deeper to explain to you, for me it was very much, am I right or are you wrong? And my intention then at that moment is to change, to say, what do I need to do now in order to build a profitable longer term relationship? And if that's what I want, how should I alter my behavior now? So very similar to what you said, be very mindful in the moment and actually just reflect on what is my body language saying, what is the tone of voice that I'm saying, but more importantly, what's my intention? Because I think the energy of your intention will come through, even though the words and your behavior might show something different.
Okay, I'll try that, but I must just ask you, doesn't that feel a bit like, I understand the importance of asking the intention, but doesn't it feel like you then at that moment will be forced to take his view just for you to build a long-term relationship?
So if you ask my opinion, I think it's key to be authentic and real. And I necessarily don't believe that you need to say yes for the sake of building the relationship. I think it's rather focus on being candid yet respectful, even if you disagree. So again, perhaps the words like, I hear your view, I have a different opinion, but I respect your decision going forward, or whatever it might be. I mean, I'm just making up words, but I think it's key for us to be authentic in any relationship, because that's the most important part to build trust.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll make sure I keep that in mind for me for going forward.
Right.
Okay, I'll let you know how it went with him.